Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be going over all the nominees that have been announced for the 2024 Will Eisner Comic Industry Awards. Now, anybody that's not familiar with the Eisners, these are the awards given to comic creators during San Diego Comic Con, the big Comic Con in the country, to as a reward, pretty much, the Oscars for comic book industry. So, I'm gonna go over not all the categories. I'm going to go through some of these. We do have a kind of a breakdown, at least by publisher. I'm going to go over some of the publishers that are kind of like at the top with the nominations. We have Image with 17 nominations. 8 of those are shared, and we have DC with 13 nominations. 8 of those are shared. We have a wide spectrum of books. We also have Fantagraphics with 11 nominations. IDW with 9 nominations for those which are shared. We also have Marvel Comics with 5 nominations. And then some other smaller publishers like Yen Press has 4, Titan Comics has 3, Viz Media and Comixology have 3 and 2 respectively. So about 35 companies, even more. So there's plenty of awards to be given out. Now I won't be going through every category. I will put a link in the description of the video so you can see the full page. But let me go through some of these, and I'll start with some really cool stuff, which I do have some visuals prepared, not for every category, but best single issue one shot, we have Horologist by Jerry Lee and Cross from Grim Film. We also have Nightwing 105 by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo from DC Comics. Star Trek Day of Blood, Shax's Best Day by Ryan North and Derek Charm from IDW. Superman 2023 Annual by Joshua Williamson and multiple creators from DC Comics. And Sweet Paprika Black, White, and Pink by American Dolfo and other creators from Image Comics. Now, this is a very interesting category. This is pretty much just a single issue of a comic that encompasses everything that they're looking for here. I've been reading both Superman and Nightwing, so I'm familiar with those. I haven't read any of the other issues that we see here, so that'll be interesting to see. I think the Eisners also provides a really fun list of things that you should probably be getting. All right, next up we have Best Continuing Series. This is a series that, uh, well, it's ongoing series pretty much. That's the short of it all. Let me go over the nominees and I'll talk a little bit more about some of the books. This is a DC Comics strong category, as you can see here. We have Birds of Prey by Kelly Thompson and Leonardo Romero from DC Comics. Nightwing by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo from DC Comics. Shazam by Mark Waid and Dan Mora from DC Comics as well. Transformers by Daniel Warren Johnson from Image Skybound. And then last but definitely not least, Wonder Woman by Tom King and Daniel St. Pierre from DC Comics. So I'm actually reading 4 of these series ongoing. I checked out the first issue of Shazam, and I kind of put it in the back burner because there's a lot of things to kind of catch up on. But I love the team. I think Mark Waid and Dan Mora are just amazing, amazing creators. So I definitely want to check that out and definitely going to go back. I think for me, pound for pound, Birds of Prey is the best ongoing series over at DC Comics. I would say Wonder Woman is great, but Transformers might take the edge on this one, just because of how of the amazing work that Daniel Warren Johnson has been doing and did for the first volume. Right, he did everything on there, so that'd be really fun to keep track of as well. Now, we're moving on to best limited series. This means that it's a series that only had a finite amount of issues, which makes it very interesting because obviously with an ongoing, there's a lot more to issues to keep track of and maintain the quality of. While with this, usually creators go in with a plan in mind. Now, I'm very happy on this category because we've actually had the creators of one of these books on the show multiple times. So let's check it out. We have Best Limited Series, The Call by Kelly Thompson and Mattia De Lilus. This from Image Comics. We also have Godzilla, Here There Be Dragons by Frank Thierry and Inaki Miranda from IDW. Kill Your Darlings by Ethan S. Parker, Griffin Sheridan, and Robert Quinn from Image Comics. Pee Pee Poo Poo by Carolina Cash from Silver Sprocket, and Superman Lost by Christopher Priest and Carlo Pagulayan from DC Comics. That was a 10 issue series. So I've actually read everything on here except for Pee Pee Poo Poo Comics. But my buddy Mike at the I Read Comic Books podcast highly recommends Pee Pee Poo Poo. It's just really fun to say as well. I'm not too big on humor skewed comics, as you can see from the cover. There's a dude, like somebody slipping on a banana, and then the number 69, of course, because of the issue. So yeah, also not very familiar with Carolyn Cash work, so may need to check it out after this. But the call is great, a beautiful kind of sci-fi. It's almost like uh, a Stand and Deliver, where the kids go on an adventure, but these are older. It's kind of that same trope, but it's got all these beautiful sci-fi elements and amazing art. Godzilla, Here There Be Dragons. It's Godzilla in the age of pirates, which, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Kill Your Darlings. I have a plethora of reviews on the channel for that, so make sure to go check it out. Also check out our interviews with both of the Eisner nominated creators that we have on the channel. And then Superman Lost, just a beautiful story of Superman trying to find his way back home. That was really fun. I really enjoyed that. So let's go on to best new series. And this is obviously a series that came out in that year. This doesn't limit it to being a miniseries or being an ongoing. I think it can be both, and there are examples of both here. So we have Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees from Patrick Horvath at IDW, which actually this year is just wrapped up. I'll talk about it in a minute. Black Cloak by Kelly Thompson and Meredith McLaren from Image Comics. Local Man by Tim Seeley and Tony Fleeks from Image Comics. Phantom Road by Jeff Lemire and Gabriel Hernandez Walta from Image Comics, which actually this series just went on a bit of a hiatus. And then Somna, A Bedtime Story by Becky Cloonan and Tula Lotte from Distillery. This is the first Distillery nomination that we're seeing up here. Distillery, as you know, very recent comic creator owned comics company, comics publisher. So that'll be fun. So let's go through some of these items. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees is a great mystery where it takes these really beautiful, cute looking art and juxtaposes it with a Dexter like killer mentality. Black Cloak is a really fun noir detective story in a sci fi world. Local Man is about a hero who finally has to go back home to re-find himself. Phantom Road is just weird sci-fi shit, which is what I think Lemire and Walta do very well together. And then Somna is just this beautiful nightmare of a sexual awakening. So yeah, there's a lot of mystery, occult stuff, and there's a lot of really beautiful art from both Clunan and Lotte. So we're gonna hop over all the way to best anthology. So I skipped a few categories that are more for younger readers, kids, young adults, teens. I don't really do a lot of that stuff. So the first one is best anthology, Comics for Ukraine, edited by Scott Dubner. This was actually crowdfunded. We also have Deep Cuts by Kyle Higgins, Joe Clark, and Danilo Beruth, plus other creators from Image. The Devil's Cut, which is the Distillery one-shot anthology, edited by Will Dennis from Distillery. Marvel Age 1000, edited by Tom Brevoort. And then we have The Outside, Trans and Non-Binary Comics, edited by the Cow, Min Christensen, and David Daneman. We also have Swan Songs by W. Maxwell Prince and a rotating cast of artists from Image Comics. So I'm not too familiar with some of these titles, including Comics for Ukraine and The Outside, but definitely are now on the list. I've checked out Deep Cuts. It's a music anthology. Uh, that's not really my bag for comics, but it is a beautiful book. The Distillery one shot was amazing because you get this collection of really cool books. And then we have, of course, Swan Songs, which I have reviews for in the channel. Make sure to go check it out. A beautiful anthology of endings. W. Maxwell Prince, just a really great writer. I don't have art for this, but Best reality based work. Are You Willing to Die for a Cause by Chris Oliveros from Drawn and Quarterly. Last on His Feet, Jack Johnson and the Battle of the Century by Adrian Mateka and Yusuf Dowdy from Live Right. Messenger, The Legend of Muhammad Ali by Mark Bernard of Fat Man Beyond fame, and Ron Salas from First Second. We also have Thing, Inside the Struggle for Animal Personhood by Samuel Machado and Cynthia Sosa Machado with Stephen Weiss from Island Press. And then Three Rocks, The Story of Ernie Bushmiller, The Man Who Created Nancy by Bill Griffin from Abrams Comic Arts. Graphic album and graphic reprint. Also, some of these adaptations from a different medium, some international stuff as well. There's a full list of stuff. Like there's so many categories here that I can't really cover everything. I'm just kind of going over the highlights. So let's go on to individual awards for specific comic creators. So in the best writer category, we have Stephen Graham Jones, that's writing Earth Divers over at IDW. Mariko Tamaki, roaming for Drawn and Quarterly. Tom Taylor writing Nightwing and Titans, or just Titans, I guess. DC Comics. Kelly Thompson, who's writing Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn, Black, White, and Redder. Black Cloak, The Call. It's Jeff over at Marvel. So like Kelly Thompson, I think so far, along with Tom Taylor, probably has the most books nominated as far as I read this. We also have Mark Waid, who's currently writing one of my favorite ongoings, actually multiple of my favorite ongoings at DC, Batman, Superman, World's Finest, Shazam, World's Finest, Teen Titans, and then last but not least, G. Willow Wilson, who is writing Poison Ivy over at DC and Hunger and the Dusk. That's a beautiful fantasy book over at IDW. Those are This category is super stacked. Next, we have Best Writer Artist. This is an individual that both does the writing and the art at the same time, right? So we have Emily Carroll, A Guest in the House from First Second. We have Bill Griffith, Three Rocks from Abrams Comic Arts. Daniel Warren Johnson for Transformers Image Skybound. We have Moku Mokuren, The Summer Hikaru Died, Volume 1 from Yen Press. Zoe Thorogood for Hack Slash, Back to School over at Image, and Tilly Walden for Clementine Book 2 over at Image Skybound. Man, I'm kind of torn because both Transformers and Hack Slash were some of my favorite things that I read over the past few months. The arc where Daniel Warren Johnson was doing everything has kind of ended, right? We have a new uh, artist now in the book, and Zoe Thorogood just also wrapped up Hack Slash. So, oh man, that's going to be interesting. We'll probably do a recap show for this as well. So we have next best penciler inker or penciler inker team. So this is either a creator that does both the penciling and the inking, or a duo or multiple creators working together. So we have Jason Sean Alexander for Detective Comics Philadelphia with Herman Eramuspe. We also have Tula Lote, who's doing Barnstormers, A Ballad of Love and Murder over at Comixology. Best Jacket Press. Inaki Miranda for Godzilla, Here There Be Dragons. Dan Mora, who's one of my favorite artists at the time, for Batman Superman, World's Finest, or Shazam. Chris Samney, Firepower, over at Image Skybound. And Jillian Tamaki for Roaming, over at Drawn and Quarterly. Next, we have Best Painter or Multimedia Artist for Interior Art. So these are artists that take non-traditional tools or paint, and that's the way they present comics. So we have Jason Sean Alexander for Blackula Return of the King, Chaiko for The Monkey King, Juan Joe Guarindo for Black Sad, Liam Sharp for Noctera Nemesis Special, and The Dragon and the Boar over at Image, Martin Simmons for Universal Monsters Dracula Image Skybound, and Sana Takeda for The Night Eaters, Her Little Reapers over at Abrams Comics, and also Monstrous. Martin Simmons is a revolutionary artist, I think. He also did one issue of the Swan Songs, so make sure to go check that out. All right, let's go through some of the best cover artists. These are exclusively based on the covers that they worked on, so not interior art like the previous category. We have Jen Bartel, who's nominated almost every year, I feel. Uh, Evan Kagel, uh, Jenny Frizen, E.M. Gist, Peach Momoko, and Dan Mora, who is. All of these people are very prolific when it comes to covers. You probably will see at least one of their covers or a variant every week. We also have Best Colorist or Best Coloring, as always nominated, I feel like every year. Jody Belair. We also have Matt Hollingsworth, Lee Lowridge, Dave McKeague, and Dean White. And then we have Best Lettering, Lauren Bowes, Emily Carroll, Bill Griffith, Hassan Otsmani Elhau, Rich Starkings, and Rose Wooten. Very prolific, the last three. They actually have a lot of under the credits. But I like that the Eisner committee seems to be focusing on not so much quantity, but just like the quality, right? If it's just one book, but it's like the most beautiful book you've seen. Let's see. I think we have a lot of publication design, some more academic web comics, digital comics. Let's go over the digital comics. I think that'll be a good way to close out. So we have Black Sat Volume 7, They All Fall Down by Juan Diaz Canales and Juanjo Guarnido, translated by Diana Schultz and Brandon Kander. We also have Friday by Ed Brubaker and Marcus Martin, Volume 7 and 8 from Panel Syndicate. The Parliament of Rooks, which I just started reading recently, by Abigail Jill Harding at Comixology. Practical Defense Against Piracy by Tony Cliff, and A Witch's Guide to Burning by Aminder Daliwal, uh, over at Instagram. So this is just published through Instagram. That's cool. That's really, really cool. Um, and then we'll also have some nominees that four people will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. But we have 16 nominees at the time. So we have Gus Ariola, Eddie Campbell, Mike Friedrich, Don Heck, Klaus Johnson. Oh man, I hope Klaus Johnson makes it in. Abe Kannixon, Jim Lee, Mike Mignola, Tom Palmer, Bob Powell, Mike Royer, Ira Schnapp, Phil Suling, Leonard Starr, Jill Thompson, and Angelo Torres. Now, I don't know all these people. If I had to make a prediction, I would say probably Klaus Jensen, Mike Mignola, Jill Thompson, and I feel like Jim Lee has to be the fourth. Like I said, I'm not very familiar with everyone, so you guys let me know. What do you think? Who's going into the Hall of Fame? So wow, very very exciting stuff. Yeah, so there you have it. That was all the Eisner nominees for 2024. Like I said, we'll keep covering it. I'll put a link in the description to the full article from San Diego Comic Con. And please let me know if you end up reading some of these books and what do you think. I might be reading some, so I'll make some videos about maybe some upcoming reviews for that stuff. So, as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone.